Yo, such one for back another video. I haven't been home in a while. I mean, as you can tell, the room isn't blue or purple or red or whatever. This is back home where I normally record my videos. I'm back home for Christmas. So yeah, I'll be here until like mid-January. But with that being said, let's just talk about what happened yesterday. Words can't really describe it, man. I woke up today, I still felt really numb. I've never really felt like that after a sporting event. I mean, as an Arsenal fan, these last few years have not been fun at all. They have not been fun. But even with that, I honestly can't think of a time where I woke up the next morning and still felt hard done by. Obviously, sometimes you feel down. It's not even the losing that's bothered me. It's the way we've lost. Obviously, today I'm talking about my other team, Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton. Yeah, I mean, he had a very good start. People didn't expect him to have a good start. I didn't really expect him to have a good start. I trusted him to get the job done in the race. Shout out my guy Jams, but we were talking on Twitter about it. And he was telling me he's nervous. I was like, nah, don't be nervous. Like, I actually trust Lewis Hamilton to get the job done. Like, I don't doubt him. It's not the same at Arsenal. I doubt Arsenal sometimes with good reason. Why are we losing to Everton? Like, we win Southampton, but we lose to Everton, cancels each other out. But with Lewis, especially now, he's just won the last 3 races. Like, he's in very good form. I think it was Damon Hill saying this is maybe the best Lewis Hamilton you've ever seen. So when people are giving him, and rightfully so, I mean, people giving him GOAT claims, I mean, look at the record books. I mean, greatest of all time. Greatest means you've accomplished the most. He has all the records that you would like to have to your name in Formula One, only when he doesn't outright hold his championships. And really and truly yesterday, that was the drive of someone who, considering the season he's had, to drive like that, given the context and the occasion, is the kind of drive I would expect from the best driver to ever compete in the sport. I mean, we'll never see Fangio or Jim Clark or Senna racing the same way we've been able to just see them live this season. I mean, with Senna, I'm sure you could probably look back on F1 TV. I heard something like F1 TV let you go back and see the races. So I don't know if it is the same for like all those seasons back then. But for the early years, like there were some really, really great drivers, man. Like the word greatest, when I call someone the GOAT, I'm very aware of what I'm talking about. Like I really hold Jim Clark, Senna, Schumacher, Prost. I hold those lot in a very, very high grain that people will not touch. Like not anyone gets into that little category there. But then there's Lewis Hamilton. Not only does he get into that category, he breaks through the category and is just sat chilling on the throne at the top on his own. And yesterday really should have been his day, his crowning moment. He had a very good start, which no one expected him to have. The incident into turn 6 on the first lap. But really and truly, where was he supposed to go? I mean, Max has been doing that all year. It's either you go off the track or we crash or you let me through. It's one or the other with Max. And to be honest, Lewis was smart about it. He knew he couldn't afford to crash. Max could afford to crash yesterday. That's why he did what he did, because a very late lunge. I've rewatched the race, sadly, and yeah, I can't lie. I don't really know where he expected Lewis to go. But yeah, and then after that, the only reason Red Bull were complaining so much is because Lewis disappeared. Like they didn't see him for the rest of the race. The only other time Red Bull saw him was when it was Perez, and that's definitely not what they had planned. But what they did have planned, I think they told Perez plan A. So, yeah, plan A, I'm assuming, was Max is going to pit, but Lewis will probably stay out. So just hold up Lewis until he inevitably goes to pit as well. But Lewis had already pit, so just hold up Lewis and let Max catch him up. And that's what Perez did very, very well. But I don't even care about that, man. He did what he had to do. Some people complaining about it. It's teamwork. F1 is very much a team sport. You have teammates for a reason. People are very critical of Lewis saying he only beats his teammates. Well, someone has to beat their teammate to win the title. So that's a very silly argument to throw at me, at least, because it's just waffle. But yeah, man, let's just talk about the last lap. So Latifi has his crash. Even that I don't understand. You've literally been racing there the whole weekend. Why have you suddenly crashed now? Like I don't understand how you've been racing around this for 52 laps. How have you just suddenly forgotten how to take the corner? But with that being said, he has his crash. Now, Red Bull immediately jumped into the pits. But not everyone did. Some people did, but not everyone did. Lewis is one of those people who didn't. And it was smart. At the time, I wasn't doubting or anything. Like, it was the right thing to do. Even before that, there was a virtual safety car. And Max pit, Lewis didn't. And Max was supposed to catch up 8 tenths a lap, and he didn't. But now, all I'm here really to talk about is that farce of a final lap. So Michael Massey's on the team radio, Red Bull talking to him. I think it was Christian himself actually. He said, we only need one lap. And Michael's like, just give me a minute. That's insane. Obviously, Toto early in the race saying, don't make it a safety car was probably crazy, I can't lie. Because it's a safety car there. It's not really a subjective thing. Do we need to pause the race for a little bit to clean up dangerous rubbish? I think we do. But with Christian Horner, he was just saying, like, mate, like, just give us one lap. But I don't know, man, especially considering the championship literally rested on that one lap. Yeah, I think Michael Massey should have shown a little bit more backbone there. It's very disappointing that he just gave in and effectively handed Max the title because, yeah, I mean, I've heard a lot of regulations and articles thrown around. Article 48.12 states that any car that has been lapped by the leader under a safety car can unlap themselves, which is what's been happening my whole life watching F1. I remember the first times I saw that, I was like, hold on, what's going on? But it makes sense just to neutralize the race and then we keep going again. Just gives everyone a chance to just refresh. I think there's even been times back in Vettel's dominant era, I think that guy had lapped people like 2 times. There's races when he lapped certain people like twice, and they would have to go and unlap themselves twice because that's how many laps he's done on them. So yeah, but I remember the first times I saw that I was confused. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that's what the article states. So yeah, the lapped cars can unlap themselves, and the safety car will go in on the following lap. Meaning that's why there was a lot of speculation about whether or not it would happen. Because like, is there time to go by the book right now? Like, if they go round, that's one lap. But then we can't go racing on that lap because the rules say it's the lap afterwards. But the lap afterwards is the last lap. So what's going to happen? So, yeah, I mean, if we had gone by the rules, what would have happened is all the cars unlap themselves. And then the safety car will pull into the pits. And then Lewis just crosses the line and he's world champion. 8 times world champ, undisputed GOAT. End of discussion. But unfortunately, that is not what happened. Michael Massey and the FIA decided to make it more of a spectacle than a sport. Very disappointing. But to be fair to them, Article 48.13, so the following article after the one I just stated, does state that when they give the message saying safety car in this lap, it's mandatory for the safety car to, I don't know, be in this lap. But my problem with that is, yeah, I mean, surely that goes by that is according to the one before also being followed. So it's not a thing where they're independent. They follow on from each other. They're both 48.1 and then something else. So they're within the same bracket of regulations. So I'm assuming that they all abide by each other. It's not a thing where one just overrides the other. I'd like to assume that they all work together. So it's very disappointing to see the FIA just say that that one overrides the other one, which I don't really think that's how it should be. But then even without any of that, the problem with that was that they say any, meaning, as it's always been, all the cars that have been lapped can now unlap themselves. And they're saying, nah, any doesn't mean all. But I don't know, man. I don't know how anyone can watch that and not think that it's fixed. And some people are saying that F1 is more scripted than WWE. And I can't even argue with them. I mean, what we saw yesterday was a disgrace. It was nuts. It was nuts. Like, that was so bad. And I remember I was watching it. I don't even know I'm smiling. I'm not happy at anything. I'm just smiling because I'm on camera. And I just naturally smile when I'm on camera. But, yeah, I don't know, man. I remember watching it live. I was on my phone. My head was hot. My head is hot now. And I was just tweeting like crazy. I'm sure you've seen some of the tweets. But honestly, man, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen now because, yeah, I don't know. Lewis hasn't said a word since. I can't blame him. His brother Nicholas has said that, yeah, like, only he can dig himself out of how he feels right now, which is really sad to think. Here are some people say he might retire, but I don't know, man. That's just not sport. Like, you've seen the analogies being thrown around. Gary Lineker said what I've been saying a lot, actually, of imagine City and Liverpool, final day of the season, they're playing each other. City are winning like 3-0, and then the ref says next goal wins. And then he sends off 4 City players. And then gives Liverpool a penalty. That's literally what happened, man. So, yeah, it's a shame. Final race of the season. Title decided through that race. And we can all see who drove the better race. Lewis was leading the majority of the race. Didn't put a single foot wrong. And was still robbed. So, can't lie. If that happens to me, I would think quite long and hard about whether or not I come back to the sport. Considering all I've already won. He has nothing to prove. He really doesn't have anything to prove. It would be nice to see him stay because I know in the new regulations it would be nice to see him still come out on top. In my book and in a lot of people's books, he's still the world champion. I mean, fair play to Max Verstappen, he had a very good year. But in my opinion, the fact that he even came down to the last race is not a good look on his part. Lewis had a very good end to the season, which people just aren't really giving him any credit for. I find it really weird. People say, oh, Max has had such a great year. That would have been Lewis's 4th win in a row, equaling the most consecutive races that Max won, I believe, because from Monaco to, I don't even know, man, but there were 5 races in a row that Red Bull won. I think the only one that stopped it was Italy when Ricciardo won. Perez won in Baku, but then Verstappen won Monaco, France, back-to-back in Austria and Styria. So, yeah, I think he won either 3 or 4 races in a row, Max, this season. And Lewis would have equaled that with a win yesterday that he was robbed of. So, really, I don't know where we go from here, because a lot of people were watching that race, man. Martin Brundle said 9 million people. I don't know if that's taking into account Channel 4 as well, because obviously he's on Sky Sports F1. So if they had 9 million people tuned in on that one channel alone, that's saying a lot. Because obviously all the people that have Sky Sports for the Premier League can just tune in anyway. But the people that don't have that, people that aren't typically sports fan families, they would have tuned into Channel 4. So I don't know if Martin Brundle was taking those numbers into account as well. But my point is, all those people tuned in to watch that, and a lot of those people, in fact, most of those people are left either confused or with a sour taste in the mouth, because even if you don't watch Formula 1, even if you don't like Formula 1, you know who Lewis Hamilton is. So they're finally seeing this guy that they hear so much about do nothing wrong. I mean, I can't try and remove my humanity from the situation. I mean, my whole life I've been supporting Lewis Hamilton, so I can't try and say if I had only just watched him then. But nah, for someone who has never watched Lewis Hamilton, if you suddenly tuned in on this one race and you saw that, you would be like, nah, you know what, fair enough. Like, looks like this guy knows what he's doing. Like, he was just clear. No one could touch him for the whole race. And then that happened. So, yeah, it just doesn't really look good on the sport at all. It just looks very fabricated. And to be honest, it's a bit of a shame that after such a tense and exciting year, because it has been quite an exciting year, for it to end like that, yeah, it's just, people are saying it would have been anticlimactic for it to end under the safety car. I think it's ended anticlimactically anyway, I'll be so real. It was always going to end in a funny way, in a fishy way, but I envisioned it would be Max doing something silly, and that's what's weird about this. It's actually not even Max's fault. That's why people are saying, oh, it's unfair if he loses the championship, but it's unfair that Lewis lost it the way it went and actually played out. So I don't know what happens from here, because to be fair, as much as I don't rate Max, I actually don't like him, but as much as I have a little bit of respect for him, yeah, to be honest, it wouldn't really be fair that he loses the championship like this, but it's not fair on Lewis either. But also for Max, massive asterisk next to this championship. People will always remember that final race, because people have been saying the whole year, oh, people are always going to remember this championship. Yes, they will, and they won't remember they won't forget how it ended in a hurry either, because that was a joke. Yeah, that was a complete joke, man, I can't lie. So yeah, people won't be forgetting that in a hurry. But yeah, I think that's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. Only last thing I'll add, Article 15.3, race director can override any decision about how the safety car is used, meaning how it's deployed, how it's removed. I think that's a bit stupid, because it doesn't mean under safety car the race director can do whatever he wants. No, you still abide by the rules. And the decision to only let the cars between Max and Lewis go through may be one of the most bizarre decisions I've ever seen in a sporting event ever. I don't think we'll ever see anything like that again. Can't lie. Shout out Martin Tyler. But unfortunately, we won't ever see anything like that again. And I say unfortunately because the one time that we have seen it is when it's affecting Lewis Hamilton. So it's a very big shame, but hopefully that doesn't happen again. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, I've been Sarchi14. Thank you very much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new. I'll be back again soon.